Good evening, everybody. Well, tonight I'm going to fulfill yet another request, I think. I've been asked a lot about just showing a lot more of my racing DVDs or movies or whatever. So when I actually went to prepare for this, I discovered I had so many that it looks like I'm going to have to break them up into 3 different videos probably. So there's 3 different broad types of DVDs that I've managed to collect now. So for this one, we're pretty much going to focus on kind of general interest in cars and racing, racing series and that sort of thing. So why not start with the first, as good of a place to start as any, really. That's with the obsession with one particular car, and that's the Ford GT40. As you can see here, it's a DVD that actually has 2 different films on it, both having to do with the Gulf livery, the John Wyer cars that were running towards the end of the 60s and at 1970. But yeah, the Ford GT40 takes the first film, running at Le Mans, 1968, you see in this picture. And then it went on to run the Gulf Porsche 917. So, but yeah, this is a really interesting video with lots of, it's just old film that I really like to watch, and has a lot of the cars and seeing them on track, and especially just capturing the way they sounded, which was just amazing. Here's another one that I came across. Ford GT40, The Story. You can see here it's from Duke Video. They're a great company, and if you check online, they have a lot of different kinds of racing and car and motorcycle enthusiast kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a great resource for lots of different kinds of stuff, especially if you're into DVDs. And I suppose Blu-rays would be, I hope, becoming more available these days. But yeah, there's a lot of more interesting footage on this car. People who've owned them or worked on them, and yeah, it was just another one that was nice to have in my collection. And I discovered that the Discovery Channel had a whole show just on the Ford GT, which is the rebuilt kind of version of the car. Sort of looks the same, but not really. It was a lot bigger, heavier, of course, and I don't know. It was a nice car, and it did run in the racing series, in the American Le Mans, that sort of thing. I really like the car, but yeah, it's hard to compare it to the old one, just because the old one was so pure, and this one, is a supercar, so normal drivers will own them, as well as race drivers. So, but this goes into a lot of the factory kind of stuff, the design aspects and things like that, and just how long it takes to come up with a concept car and then put it in production, which actually was kind of a rushed schedule to get the Ford GT going. But it's interesting. Again, I was obsessed with the Ford GT and the Ford GT40, so I just wanted to collect anything I could find about it. The next series that I really got into is a series of car shows, or car DVDs, based out of Japan, and it's the Best Motoring International. You can see here, this is the Type R Legend episode. I have a whole stack of DVDs from Best Motoring, so I'm not going to show every single one of them, but again, I became obsessed with a particular track in this instance, and I was looking for anything I could find that had to do with the Nürburgring in Germany, and so I would especially like any kind of Best Motoring video where they had actual onboard. And this one has Gansan driving a prototype S2000 on the ring and just flying. He's amazing in this. But it also compares the old and new Type R, the Integra as well as the Civics especially. And I guess an NSXR as well. But basically, yeah, I think it had a big comparison between the old generation Civic and then the newer one. A lot of people prefer the old one, especially because of the handling. So, but yeah, the way they present on these shows, it's mostly going to be all in Japanese with English subtitles. Occasionally, they've employed voiceovers, and which can get pretty amusing because you get some different accents and that sort of thing. But I like it much better when they just talk in Japanese and then subtitle. And I'm going to point out two editions of Best Motoring that are a little out of the ordinary. One is the official guide to JGTC, which is the Japanese Grand Touring Championship. This is the series that has now become Super GT. But yeah, you can see all these different touring car type racers. And especially, I've shown this, I have a model of this car, the Nissan Xanavi GTR. But you have like the Takata Dome NSX. I believe that's the SO Supra. And then the GTR was eventually being replaced by the Nissan Z. But yeah, there's some great footage on this. I mean, obviously it's over 2 hours. And there's a lot of interviews with drivers, that some of which have become presenters for Best Motoring. But really interesting. I like this a lot. Yeah, there. But yeah, there's a lot on this DVD. So it's, if you're into Grand Touring racing, this is really nice to have. And of course, the Drift Bible. Now, I can't say that I've done very much drifting myself. You know, I consider drifting a very resource-intensive sport, you could say. Racing already is that, because it, you know, pushes the limits of cars' engineering, and the components wear out much faster, of course. But I mean, drifting really takes that to another level, and it's quite a commitment. So, you know, but the skill involved is amazing. And what I really enjoyed about this DVD is, as a racing enthusiast, it's really interesting to know the techniques that cause a car to start drifting, because when you're actually racing and you're trying to get grip all the time, those are the sorts of things that you'd consider mistakes, and because they slow you down. So it's nice to have control of it if you like to drift, but it's also nice to know things to try not to do when you're trying to go fast. So, and also how to recover if you do that by accident. But yeah, I think there's 5-6 different specific techniques on how to get a car to drift. really interesting descriptions on how it works, and of course, plenty of footage with Keiichi Tsuchiya. And yeah, that's really good DVD. Now, moving on with the obsession with the Nürburgring, as I mentioned earlier. You've seen this as a tracing video. But yeah, the Porsche 956 bought this specifically for Derek Bell's lap around the Nürburgring, which he does in about 6 minutes, 40 seconds, something like that. But there's footage of other places that car raced. Le Mans is one of them. Fuji, there's quite a few others, but mostly I just really wanted a copy of the Nürburgring lap. And it's on board, and Derek Bell narrates. It's just amazing. So you can probably find that somewhere on YouTube if you want to just see that lap. But pretty cool. Nissan GTR Skyline. This is a dedicated DVD just for this car. But again, most of the reason I got it was because there's footage, lots of onboard footage of the Nissan going around the Nordschleife circuit. That's the Nürburgring. And, it actually shows the speedometer, so you can see just how fast he's going and stuff like that. But he also narrates, and it's pretty amazing. So, yeah, that's a great one to get if you're into the Nürburgring too. This DVD is actually a souvenir because in 2007, I actually got to go to the Nürburgring in person. I happened to be over in Europe on a tour, and we had a day off unexpectedly. It just happened to line up with the routing of our next show, and we figured the Nürburgring would be a perfect stop to have a rest day and put us, really close to where we needed to be the next day. So I got my wish and went to the Nürburgring, and I went around on a passenger lap in a Dodge Viper race car. The Zaxbyt team did that. Well, as you can imagine, I was really excited to even be there. And after I was done with my passenger lap, I went straight to the gift shop and bought every little thing I could get my hands on. Yeah, I bought a t-shirt. I bought a little model car that I've shown you guys already. It was a little 143 scale Porsche 956, I believe, or 962 in the Newman livery. And of course I found this DVD. So, pretty awesome. It has lots of good footage, and it's in both English and German, I think. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Oh, look at that. That's the car that took me around the ring, the racing Viper. So yeah, pretty awesome. Obviously the highlights, grid girls, there's some other features besides just the driving. So yeah, great. Here's another great DVD for sports car action. Obviously we have the McLaren F1 GTR in here. You can see that the driver is sitting right in the center. It's one of the features of this car. But yeah, this car has lots of footage on board. There's another different version of the same car, the FINA livery. This is the one I want to get in a model and maybe show you guys someday. But yeah, there's footage at the Grand Prix circuit at Nürburgring, but also Monza, Silverstone, Anderstorp Spa especially. That's a great bunch of different footage. Harama. But yeah, like inside this car is really fun to watch. They go inside lots of different types of cars, though. I mean, there's Lamborghinis, there's Ferraris, you know, just lots of different. Oh, and which one was it? There was one car that had this ridiculously meaty engine. But that was one of the clips at Spa that was just, it blows your mind. It's so awesome. So anyway, for some reason I'm blanking on which car that was, but yeah, kind of an unusual car to appear. So I was very happy to get this DVD. It's amazing. So, and speaking of cars with unbelievable noise, when I was watching Formula One a lot, they advertised a clip from this DVD, the Can-Am Speed Odyssey. Narration by Sam Posey and Jim Hall, mostly Sam Posey. These cars were as close to unlimited as most any racing series that's ever been. They had huge engines. You're talking, 7 liters and more. And the noise they made was just, makes your hair stand up. It's so awesome. That's the biggest feature, other than just the cool cars and the fact that guys like Jackie Stewart, people who were champions in Formula One, were also crossing over and racing these sports cars. Jody Scheckter, Surtees, Andretti. I mean, look at these names here. Bruce McLaren, when he was still alive. I mean, Dan Gurney, Peter Revson. I mean, just incredible that all those drivers were involved in this series when it was running. And it didn't last long. I think it was around 5 years or so. And when Bruce McLaren died in testing, it was kind of sad. Okay, here we go, 66 to 73. A little more than 5 years. But yeah, there's some incredible footage on this. Just incredible. So, one of the coolest bits of footage was the Chaparral, which had an adjustable wing that the driver could control. So on straights, the wing would be flat. And then when a driver would approach a braking zone and go through the corner, the wing would dip down and give you more downforce. So the idea was, in cornering and braking, the wing would really help you. And in the straights, the wing would be as flat as possible, so it would decrease the drag, and you could go faster. Really cool. As far as more old footage, this is really interesting. Backseat driver. Originally saw this on Netflix, and I decided I wanted to own a copy. Some really funny footage of the old circuit of their Sebring circuit, Pikes Peak. There's some really cool Pikes Peak footage, and Laguna Seca in a Ferrari 512. And yeah, the narration on that sequence especially is really funny. But yeah, this is a good DVD too. Of course, yes, I have some DVDs from Top Gear. I've got Season 10, Season 11, and Season 12. And I definitely want to pick up more. I still watch it on BBC America, and I've been trying to keep caught up on all their seasons, but these are the only 3 that I've bought on DVD so far. But I plan on getting much more, especially now that they're coming out on Blu-ray. got some other racing series kind of stuff. The 24 Hours of Le Mans. I've got 2 of these DVDs. I mostly have 2004 and 2005 because there's a lot of extras. Driver interviews, especially with people like Derek Bell or Sterling Moss. Onboard footage with the Corvettes and that sort of thing. It has special features. It's pretty cool. So it's a nice one to have. I bought this one mostly because it was the year that Stefan Beloff set the world record for the Nürburgring Nordschleife. He made a 6-minute 11-second lap in qualifying, and nobody has beat that time since then. We're talking 1983, so it's been a while. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. But there's a lot of good footage on here. And, the world endurance kind of stuff, which is what it's called today. So, really nice. And finally, I kind of came late to the party as far as NASCAR. I've got the IMAX NASCAR DVD, which is really cool. Shows a lot of the engineering. And, yeah, sorry about those noises in the background. My cat is going crazy right now. But yeah, anything filmed in IMAX isn't going to look great, but obviously DVD has its limits, and I can't wait to see how these will look on Blu-ray. I think one year a friend from work gave me a gift certificate to the NASCAR online store, so I bought this. And it's really cool. There's 2 discs in here. There's a lot of driver interviews, including guys that I really like because they do other things besides just NASCAR. People like Boris Said. He's the only American 24 Hours of Nürburgring winner that I know of. And basically, yeah, it's a lot of fun interviews and just some cool footage. Obviously there's nothing like the roar of a NASCAR engine. So, well, I'd say that's about it for this episode of Racing Movies. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if everyone likes this one, then I will proceed with the other 2 that I have laid out. The next one is going to be all dedicated to just the DVDs I have on Formula One. And then from there, we'll go to actual Hollywood movies that have to do with cars or racing. So stay tuned. Bye-bye. Have a great night.